Hello everyone and welcome to Motorcyclegear.com. Today I am back out on the 2024 Honda Rebel 1100T and it's time to talk about the 5 things that I don't like about this bike. I'm back on the 24 Honda Rebel 1100T, and if this is your first time checking out one of our bike reviews, well, here is a little bit of info. Typically, I will do a 3-part series consisting of a full overview video, a 5 things I like video, and a 5 things I don't like video. This, of course, is the 5 things that I don't like video, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. Kicking us off at number 1 is going to be the brakes. Are they bad? Well, no, but I would really like to see a dual disc front setup. For the quality of the rest of this bike and the price point, I would hope to see a dual disc, not a single. The truth is, this bike isn't heavy, but it has plenty of power, so I would like to see brakes that complement that power. In normal stopping situations, the brakes were okay, but it was just that. They were only okay. They didn't feel like a highlight or a component that I thought was going to go above and beyond. Also, I think outside of the performance aspect of a dual disc setup, I think a dual disc setup would do wonders for this bike visually, making it look even more upscale than it already does. Moving on to number 2 on my list of 5 things that I don't like about the 2024 Honda Rebel 1100T is going to be the seat. Okay, so this bike is a cruiser. What are cruisers known for? Comfortable cruising. Then, Honda added the letter T to the name. I have to assume that T means touring, so a touring cruiser. That is like an entirely different level of comfortable. So you would have to assume that a comfortable seat is a must, right? Well, I have to say that I was a bit disappointed in this one. After only about 30 to 45 minutes, I started to feel uncomfortable. And honestly, I felt more comfortable on the Honda CBR 650R that I tested during the same weekend, and I was honestly kind of shocked. So this is something that I would personally upgrade immediately if I owned one of these, as I would want to be able to go on longer tour-like rides, and I personally just couldn't do it with this factory seat. Maybe, just maybe it's me, maybe it's the seat. Either way, I would highly recommend trying it out for yourself before committing to this bike or to this seat for a long ride. Thankfully, aftermarket seat choices are plentiful for this bike, so it's not the end of the world, just again disappointed that it wasn't better from the factory. Alright, number 3 on my list of 5 things that I don't like about the 2024 Honda Rebel 1100T is the storage. But wait, I thought you said you liked the storage in the last video. Well, I did, but what I said was I like the fact that it has storage. I like the fact that it locks, and I like the fact that it's color matching. What I didn't discuss was the size, so that is what I don't like. I wish that at least one of the 2 bags could fit a full helmet. It currently cannot, not even close. There is such a convenience to stopping for food or rest or whatever, and knowing that you can store and lock up your helmet safely and to not have to worry about carrying it with you, since it really just gets in the way and keeps your hands full. So, with how great the bags are on this bike and with everything they do and have going for them, I would just love to see that ability. Granted, one bag has to be smaller than the other because of the exhaust, so it might not be practical for both bags to fit a helmet, but at least if the bigger one could be big enough for a helmet, that would be awesome. Alright, moving right along, let's go to number 4, and this one might be subjective. Could be because of my helmet or my height or some other factors. Definitely not a scientific opinion here, but I expected the windshield or the fairing to do more. When riding at highway speeds on this bike versus say the Triumph Bonneville Bobber, which is completely naked out front and offers no wind protection, don't feel like I saw a massive difference in riding the Rebel. Personally thought it would be night and day. Perhaps that's the issue. Maybe I overhyped it or set my expectations for, wind protection too high. Personally, I just didn't feel like the fairing was doing a ton. At speeds above say 50 or 60, I felt the wind blast for sure, as did my microphone. The wind noise was much worse than on full fairing sport bikes and touring bikes that I've ridden in the past. Now, I don't expect it to be as good as a full fairing sport bike or a touring bike, but I didn't expect it to feel and sound similar to a fully naked bobber. Again, might just be me, might be my riding position or something else, but yeah, if you are expecting amazing wind protection, maybe give this bike a test ride before you commit. Alright, last but not least is number 5 on the list. In fact, definitely not least, as I think this point is the biggest problem that this bike has. Look, a standard Rebel exists to meet a price point and to check select boxes. I get that. There's a budget, totally get it. And because of that budget, a bike like that will have some compromises. And again, I totally get that. But when you make a special or modified version of that standard Rebel or that standard bike, you then need to take some liberties in the budget because you know the customer will pay for it, hence why they are shopping the special or modified version versus the base version. So case in point, the Rebel 1100T adds some cost, but justifies said cost with adding the bags and the fairing or windscreen or whatever you want to call it, right? Where Honda fell short here is by not committing fully to this design or this strategy. This bike is desperately begging, I tell you, for forward controls. I have heard many riders who are over 6 feet complain about it being a tad tight for them, and I think if you convert to forward controls, I bet the complaints go away. And boom, look at that, a whole new segment of customers just became available. Also, I find it hard to believe that forward controls would be so expensive that you couldn't simply raise the T version's price by 200 or so bucks to cover it, right? And with that small of an increase, the customer probably wouldn't even notice. Also, with frontal controls, comfort instantly goes up. Style and appeal of the bike also go up, which means that sales will too go up. It's almost like Honda went 2/3 of the way there with the bags and the fairing, but then skipping the forward controls. And if I really wanted to get nitpicky, I could also say that adding a different set of handlebars to both complement the fairing and the new forward controls would be a nice touch as well, but that might be asking for too much. Or maybe even some more nice touch accessories, right? Like say bar end mirrors or a different seat. I mean, a different seat could address the number 2 issue on my list, right? Items like that wouldn't really add too much in cost, but would really go a long way in making the T version of the Rebel that much more special and unique versus the standard Rebel. Maybe Honda leaves the Rebel 1100T alone, then adds one more version above it, and really takes this whole bagger touring idea all the way to 11, or maybe I'm wrong here, but I can say this, at least for the forward controls part, especially for taller riders. I've heard a bunch of taller riders complain about it before, so at least with that bit, I know I'm not the only one. Alright guys and gals, that is it for the 5 things that I don't like about the Honda Rebel 1100T. Be sure to visit Motorcyclegear.com as we would love to help you out with your motorcycle gear needs. You can also hit us up via phone or email, and if you'd like to share your thoughts on this video or the Honda Rebel 1100T, feel free to drop them down in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Till next time.